Hello, welcome to my Sonde From. Today we have a microphone test, and I'll get into that in a minute. But as you can see, I want to try this out and see if it works. So this is a little reed, and I want to get into it before anything. It's just a few pages, like a couple, maybe 3. And so I just want to read it off. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the debate. And the debate is coming with J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. It will be Tuesday, October 1st at 9 p.m. on CBS. So they will be covering it. CBS has a show called Face the Nations, in which the hosts will be hosting the debate as well. So Norah O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan will be hosting the debate on Tuesday at 9 p.m. This is going to be CBS. It will be 90 minutes, like, an hour and a half. J.D. Vance versus Tim Walz. So if you're interested, you can check that out. In other news, I guess you guys that watch the Palestine news here on my channel, Israel takes out Nasrallah in the capital of Lebanon, in Beirut. So Nasrallah is like an officer in Hezbollah, and so it's been a back and forth situation here, but Israel has been looking for Nasrallah, but I guess looking with a bunch of rockets, I guess. But they did eventually locate and and take him out. And so that happened. It took I think it took like a few days. But even so, the strikes continue, and Israel continues their strikes in Beirut and Yemen for continued pressure, not only in Gaza, but also seen in other countries. So, like I said, in Lebanon and Yemen, not only in Gaza, they are applying pressure in the heightened Middle Eastern conflict and battles. Because they are heightened, they are applying a lot of pressure right now to these countries that are involved. So I guess that's kind of one of the things that went viral, was that Nasrallah, had passed. So Typhoon Jebi, this took me a minute to get the information, but I eventually got it. Typhoon Jebi, an Asian tropical system, is going to affect Japan, specifically Chichijima Island, on Monday at 9 a.m. And Typhoon Jebi, it's a pretty big system, and it has like a little twin, I guess. They're kind of like moving, but like one's kind of more north and the other one's kind of south, but they're kind of like similarly moving and similarly impacting the same area of the ocean waters. So Typhoon Krathon, aka Julian, Typhoon Krathon, to affect Taiwan and the Philippines today, Monday, at 10 a.m. So 10 a.m., Taiwan and Philippines will have weather impacted by Typhoon Krathon, aka Julian. Now, local weather here in Cincinnati, Ohio, is cool. We're having very cool weather. And there is a rainy forecast with cool fall typical nights. So we will be receiving kind of cooler nights than usual, and rain in our forecast continues. But you know, it does get it lines up eventually this week, I guess. So we should see more sun coming. Then all these clouds that you see above the land when you look up in the skies are actually probably still caused by the post-tropical Helene that is moving out because it dissipated already, and it's just kind of pushing out into the ocean back again. So you'll see some more, you know, a little bit more, but those are, you know, of course they were, I believe those are west of us. So that moisture is continuing on its merry way out. Now, like I said, I have this new mic. It's a Saramonic mic. It's a nicer brand than usual. Excuse my hands, I was baking. Now, it's my new setup, but more is to come. I think I bought one little thing that I wanted to try out because I'm adamant that I have to find a correction. If you know me, I'm very spec oriented. I need to know what is going on technically. I need to pinpoint the problems and errors and make it right. And that's just how I move. That's how I roll. You know, you should have known me by now, but I needed to know what I went wrong when I was using this, what do you call it? XLR. There's cable. See, I have the cable for my phone. I have the cable for a general mic application. So I was wondering what happened, and I went and I researched a little bit, and I found a little something, and I'll show it to you guys later when it comes in. But for now, we'll try this mic out, and I'll move on to some, I guess, a serious topic. And this is Hurricane Helene. So Hurricane Helene, a tropical system in the Caribbean waters, it began its life affecting Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba. Its massive size was even noticed in Honduras. It caused Cayman Islands and Central America a lot of severe weather. As soon as it entered the Gulf of Mexico, it spun into a Category 3. Before landfall, it turned into major hurricane Category 4 Helene. Directly into Georgia it went, while the bands affected much of the Florida and Gulf of Mexico behind it on its tail. And this 100-year storm became known as the most catastrophic for some towns in history, as even now has clouds covering the eastern portion of the country. The destruction continued on, with outer bands devastating the East Coast. As it tracked Tennessee and Kentucky on its path, the moisture here in Ohio caused a drop in temperature, which was for me unbearable. I had the heater on full blast on a casual day that I usually would have windows open. Given I am from the Gulf, we get weather that's little bit kind of wet. It's, it gets damp sometimes. And despite the muggy outside environment, I really enjoy my windows open. That's just me. I'm a fresh air type of girl. Much like I felt its regional effects, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri also had drastic weather changes. And I am sure Arkansas saw that locally as well, although it remains not covered. And so I did a little research and checked out what type of impact Arkansas had, and they had rain all weekend forecasted for them. So I'm pretty sure, even they had some of that outer band effects coming their way the whole time. So Okay, so yeah, there was Category 4 right before landfall as it entered into Florida, the northern portion of Florida. This portion, the officials are calling the Big Bend area. So it entered and quickly moved into Georgia. And as it quickly turned into Georgia, it had like outer bands that were creating very serious and catastrophic problems on the East Coast. So even though its path was going northwest, the other side had the major storms that were, spinning off into these areas, these states and towns. So, like I said, this storm is 100-year storm. It's rare occurrence. It only happens like once in 100 years, they say, these type of situations. And a lot of places that hadn't been hit that hard, before, believe it to be the most catastrophic, the most historically, damaging. So it made its mark in history. And like I said, my weather is still impacted. So, we can see that, as a pattern here in the region I live in. So I had, I had the heater up. I had that heater up. I'm not even gonna lie. You can feel it in your hands, you can feel it in your feet. The temperature dropped, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the mixture of extra moisture in there. Like humidity hits like wind, and it just causes like this icing effect, I guess. It just chilled my spine. And but I mean, it's getting back to normal. But yeah, that happened. And so, like I said, where it ended up was like Tennessee, Kentucky, right? So it was up in Kentucky, and the states around it, like literally every state around it, was like feeling some type of weather, like extra rainy, like seriously, like so yeah, I kind of take mental notes on what areas were impacted, because I just like to look out for my neighbor. So that's how we roll here on this channel. The aftermath, a cleanup left unprecedented. The impact on population has been dampened. I know the victims count will rise also. As the surveying continues, so will search and rescue, and the site is being called apocalyptic biblical. And all to say, nature left to neglect, our plight still left untouched. We continuously ask for more focus on climate change. These events become desensitizing. I'm gonna stop right there. I know, like, I speak a lot about when people call me SJW or woke, or like, I don't know, extra woke, I don't know, but like it's probably like the cliches that hit the hardest. And when I'm being serious, I like people to hear me. I don't like people to have an ear open for divestment. I like people to have an ear out for me and listen. So I want you guys to listen to me if you're watching this video. And I want you guys to think about every time you had a weather impact your life, and tell me that this didn't occur within the last time frame, that you can speak from, because before that it had not. And that is why people feel like it's apocalyptic, it's biblical. But like I said, in weather it has like a pattern, and these are not normal patterns. I believe, 100-year storm. This was like the second major hurricane this year. So I feel like, you know, like it's the second major hurricane, but is that a normal thing? We shouldn't, you know, just rely on assurance of news and media. You know, people who we turn to, our government, our leaders, you know, the people who we are patrons to, I think, you know, should do a lot better to help prevent these things, you know, that are, at this point, they seem unbearable, you know, and things that are out of our hands and out of our control. And we still, you know, and I'm not talking about, you know, the money. I'm not talking about just the loss of life. I'm not talking about the loss of income and all that. I'm talking about the entire situation. I'm talking about the impact of the aftermath. That's what I'm thinking should, you know, have carried this conversation up to those very same people, those individuals. But every single thing falls upon us, as you know, they just overlook it, and ever so conveniently. As you know, there was a campaign rally, you know, around the time we were, you know, including DC, impacted by Major Hurricane Helene. And I just don't understand how. Did you not get the alert? Did you not remember? Or, you know, or did you remember to forget? I'm not too sure how that works. And that's why I say, you know, I think this time, you know, it put a damper in me, in my very being, inside of me, you know, because I have to give the news about these things, and I shouldn't have to. This is a very red pill channel, and I do look out for you guys, but this isn't a news station. I don't get paid for this, you know what I mean? And I think not only that, you know, the alerts, not only that, but for additional support to come out of a state or states in which there are reoccurring systems, known reoccurring systems, you know, that continuously, and of course recently, have started to become, you know, a thing. And the fact that nobody talks about it, nobody touches on it, is baffling to me. This is the reality for some, nay, a lot of our nation. We are the people. We will only find more ways to unite. This isn't a drill. The crisis we have is answered in our response, the most our hearts can mobilize. Now, that said, you know, that we pull together and we find ways, more ways, to face these challenges as a body, you know, of people. You know, we ourselves can do for each other. But then again, do we have to? Do we not pay our taxes? Do we not do right, you know, by our leaders? You know, like, I feel like somehow, you know, they, you know, maybe without words hinted at us being, you know, not qualified. But that's, it's like the smallest change that you could make. And it never goes, without saying that it's a huge loss. But how many times are you gonna say that? Like, it's just like a pattern. Like, it's a huge loss, and then moving on. But we're not like a page in your book. We're real. We're human. We're people. And although we do need each other, where is it when you stand and directly support back and, lend a hand to your own people and not make us feel like we're the burden, like this is our fault, like it's something that we did wrong for us to have the ability to pick up and, kind of unburden ourselves with climate change. I feel like it's a long ways in coming, but it's also been a long overdue system, So I just want to use this rest of this time to ask you guys to keep all the victims, survivors, first responders in your thoughts and prayers as recovery begins. And so this is the hardest part of this news brief. The death toll is 113. In the weekend, which is probably like early Monday. In the weekend, it was about 60. It doubled. So now there are missing people. There's 1,073 people missing. In North Carolina alone, in Buncombe County, there are 30 deaths. Buncombe County is located in North Carolina. It was not on the path. And there were first responders who died. As I have mentioned before, there were 3 firemen who passed on. There were 2 from South Carolina and 1 from Georgia. The destruction and damages are over 20 billion US dollars. Major Hurricane Helene, Category 4, had winds of 140 miles per hour. This made landfall, this Category 4 major hurricane, on September 27th, 2024, lasting 2 days on land, ending September 29th. So you guys, like I said, try to support and keep an eye out for your neighbors. And if you can, mobilize into any volunteerism, because literally this is like half of the country that is affected. And not only where its track was, but also in other areas as well. So that said, I think that's it. Although I do want to add something, if I can add something. Okay, so there's a system in the Gulf that's heading toward the Gulf. There's a system in Central America. And it only has like I think it has a 50% chance of development, right? So on Wednesday, it's expected to turn into a tropical depression. And it will move into the Gulf of Mexico if it continues without, drastic change. Like if it dissipates, it dissipates. But sometimes they they reform and pop back up. And but this system has been steady. It is moving northwest. And like I said, it's like near Central America. So this is affecting the Caribbean waters and the islands around it as well, not just Mexico. So we're going to keep an eye on this one. We're not sure, but it's leaning right now. And you know very well these tracks change, but it's leaning along the Mexican Texas shores. So it might track like that. We don't know if it's going to curve along the shore, directly impact somewhere. Once it starts spinning, it will make its own mind up, and as it starts spinning, it is subject to change because this system happens in nature. This is just, the way it moves. Because when it has like power behind it, when it has real power behind it, it kind of looks for a warm waters. So, it could be any warm waters that are conveniently located somewhere that it can, or it doesn't even have to be convenient. It could just find its way somewhere and have its track. But that's why we keep an eye on it to try to make a track and forecast this and help you guys prepare. And as far as the other storms are concerned, they're still there. Yeah, they're still there. And there's another one, I think it's starting slowly to be developed, but it's in the ocean. And it's like not really affecting anything right now. So this is the one that we need to watch. So there's that. And for the microphone, this is kind of I guess because it's a used product. This microphone I bought used, but it's like a really good microphone. It's a Saramonic. So it comes with this little mic cover. You see, this is the mic, and then you just put the cover on. And then you just go ahead and put the plug on, which I already have a plug like this. Snap it, and then you can just, however you want to position it. So I'm going to put it towards me. Oh, I guess it goes like this, and then we'll try. Let's see if it works. Hello, can you hear me? So this is the Saramonic microphone. And the Saramonic microphone right here is kind of small, but it's a smart microphone. It's made for the iPod, iPhone, and iPad. So I think since this one was made for like Apple phones and devices, it was a lot easier for me to use. So they always tell me look for things that say Apple on them, because when you find things that are made for that manufacturer, you'll find that they tend to work with the device, like, you know, better, or at least, you know, work, period. But, you know, like I said, I'm gonna find a solution, because I had bought all those microphones and I haven't bought the microphone that I really want yet. So I'm determined, because the microphone that I really want needs this cord. So I'm determined to find out what I can use. And so I'll put this away for now, and I'll see you guys on the next one. My Sunday front. Like, comment, share, and just subscribe, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.